Hi, I'm Darren Miles with Darren Miles Photography, based here in beautiful, sunny Southwest Florida. And well, you knew this one was coming. This is the long-awaited and highly anticipated Olympus 45mm f1.2 Pro Series lens. And I'll just sum it up this way. It ain't cheap, but it doesn't disappoint either. So how good is it really? And oh, by the way, a shout out to Dan Thompson for letting me borrow his OMD EM1 Mark II for this review. Olympus and Panasonic have both been on a bit of a hot streak for a while now. Panasonic with their amazing GH5 and more recently with their G9. The former more for video and the latter more for stills. Then of course there's Olympus with the OMD EM1 Mark II and their amazing, and I mean amazing, Pro line of lenses. It seems both companies are on a quest to produce and get the most out of their Micro Four Thirds sensor system cameras. Olympus has definitely been a bit more focused on high-end optics, as the Pro line has been marketed towards the professionals they're hoping to convert into Micro Four Thirds users. Well, the 45mm f1.2 Pro is definitely another feather in Olympus's cap, and moreover, another weapon in the arsenal of high-end professional lenses designed to woo professionals to the Micro Four Thirds system. Now that said, as many of you know, I've tested the 25mm f1.2 Pro, and honestly, I was a bit underwhelmed with its price, and more importantly, with its performance, specifically wide open at f1.2. So, does the 45mm f1.2 Pro do a better job wide open? And is it worth its eye-popping $1,199 price point? And lastly, how does it compare to Olympus's beloved 45mm f1.8? Well, let's take a closer look. So first up is the build, and straight out of the gate, it's Olympus's Gucci meets Rolex meets Porsche design. Sleek and sculpted and put together with just amazing precision. These things are as aesthetically beautiful as they perform. Compact and somewhat beefy for a prime Micro Four Thirds lens, the 45 comes in at just under 14.5 ounces or 410 grams. It's certainly not heavy, but it's not exactly light for a Micro Four Thirds prime, but it feels substantial without being overly burdensome. The focus ring, like the others in the Pro line, is just have that velvety smooth and sublime feeling. Olympus, in my opinion, has done the best job of incorporating the focus clutch mechanism that allows the lens to switch between auto and manual focus. It's superbly well implemented and works supremely well. On the inside, it's a reasonably complex formula for a prime lens of 14 elements arranged in 10 groups. Included in that formula are 1 extra low dispersion element, 4 high refractive index elements, and 1 a spherical element which, quote, all work in concert to control chromatic and spherical aberrations for improved clarity, reduced color fringing, and enhanced sharpness. So says Olympus. Olympus also applies something called Z-coating, which helps reduce lens flare and ghosting. Now that all sounds really impressive, but we're going to see in the results. There are also 9 rounded aperture blades which produce simply stunning bokeh rendering in the autofocus areas. The bokeh balls are just awesome. Now speaking of the aperture, it ranges from f1.2 to f16, and the front filter thread comes in at 62 millimeters. The minimum focus distance is 1.64 feet or roughly 50 centimeters. That's reasonably close, but I wouldn't confuse the 45 for a macro lens. Lastly, the lens is dust and moisture resistant, and $1,199 it better be. On the downside though, I'm glad Olympus has included this lens hood, but this one seems a bit more plastic and not as substantial as previous hoods in the Pro line. And the lens cap itself, though nice, isn't quite up to the same standards set by the earlier Pro lenses in the line, which is a bit of a letdown, but really, that's about it. So for build, the 45 lives up to the Pro lens line legacy and gets a very solid 9.5 out of 10 for build. Next up is autofocus speed and accuracy. Olympus has outfitted the 45 with their well-known and highly regarded MSC focusing system, which stands for Movie and Still Compatible. And in my experience, specifically with the OMD EM1 Mark II that I haven't made it to here, which has Olympus's latest AF system in a camera body, AF is just lightning quick and stunningly accurate. In fact, let me just demo this for you really quickly. I'm going to focus around at random things, and the beep is on, so here we go. Something far away, bam. Something up close, bam. Far away again, I mean, wow. And unlike many of the previous mirrorless camera lenses and cameras, The EM1 Mark II locks on almost instantaneously, which is to say, unlike previous camera bodies from Olympus, the autofocus doesn't speed past the subject and then snap back. This one just locks on. Now, I'm not sure if it's the camera or the lens or both, but the resulting AF performance of the 45 is just a thing of beauty. It works seemingly just as well in low light situations too. Frankly, AF performance just doesn't get any better than this, and as such, the 45 gets a perfect 10 out of 10 for AF speed and accuracy. So next up is where the butter meets the bread, and that is, how are the optics? Well, in a word, I think they're sensational. As many of you know, I like the 25mm f1.2 Pro, but I thought it fell just a little bit short wide open. And speaking for myself, specifically when I'm shooting a micro four thirds camera, I just prefer to shoot wide open because I love shallow depth of field, and I'll take every bit of shallow depth of field that I can get with a micro four thirds camera. And the 45mm f1.2 has the look and feel of 90mm at f2.4 on a full frame camera, which is just an excellent combination for portraits. And wide open, I'm seeing that the Oly 45 isn't perfect, but it's pretty damn close. The bokeh rendering is downright buttery and beautiful. Now on the downside, there is a bit of chromatic aberration in the high contrast areas that show up as purple and sometimes green fringing, and I do see a bit of vignetting at f1.2. But fortunately, those things are an easy fix today in programs like Lightroom. Literally, it's just a one-click fix, so I don't really see that as a huge imperfection any longer, though I do wish it were a little bit better straight out of camera. But, as with all my reviews, don't take my word for it, see for yourself. The next 2 to 3 minutes will be a series of stills and short video clips showcasing the optical opulence of the Olympus 45mm f1.2 Pro series lens. So last up is value, and at $1,199 you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Moreover, is it worth 3 times as much as Olympus's excellent and value-priced 45mm f1.8? Well, to me, the answer is yes and no. Yes, if you're the pro who needs the extra 2/3 of a stop of light in those low light situations, think churches, reception halls, etc. Slightly faster AF performance, slightly better optical quality, and considerably better build. Then think, no, it's not worth it if you're an enthusiast who uses his or her camera for vacations and imagery that's a notch or 2 or 3 above the latest generation of cell phone cameras. You'll likely be just as happy, if not happier, with the excellent 45mm f1.8 from Olympus, and your wallet and your budget will be happier too. But then again, if you're a pro who makes his or her living on photography and you've made the switch to Micro Four Thirds, then to me the 45 Pro is a bit of a no-brainer. Just the same, at $1,199, it's a really steep price to pay for a Micro Four Thirds lens. So for value, the Oly gets an 8 out of 10. So to wrap up this review, we gave the Olympus 45mm f1.2 Pro Series lens a 47 out of 50 and our highly recommended rating. The final word. Now, if you are a professional photographer who's made the switch to Micro Four Thirds cameras, then I think the 45mm f1.2 Pro Series lens is a bit of a no-brainer, especially if you're a photographer who makes his or her living on portraiture. It's an ideal full-frame equivalent focal length or portrait focal length of 90mm, which is in the wheelhouse for a lot of portrait photographers. So in that sense, you simply cannot go wrong with the Oly. However, if you're an enthusiast who bought into the Micro Four Thirds system to give yourself slightly better image quality than the latest generation of camera phones, then I think your money's probably better spent on the Olympus 45mm f1.8 or the Panasonic 42.5 f1.7. Neither is built as well, but optically they're pretty amazing, especially for that kind of money. But in the end, the 45mm f1.2 Pro is a pretty great option, even if that option costs $1,199. I'm Darren Miles with Darren Miles Photography, based here in beautiful, sunny Southwest Florida. If you like these reviews, please give me a like, or better yet, subscribe. And until the next time, happy shooting.